Hello and welcome to a very interesting topic. So first off, my name is Gletsmar B. Kasama CPA, and I would like to talk about the topics the nature of business and the moral reasoning and the introductory concept of business ethics. So let's start with the nature of business. So, businesses has been there for the longest time. And for a long time also, the businesses were centered on one main goal, which is the maximization of profits. Which means businesses tend to maximize their sales prices in order to boost profits, especially if they have no competition. And number two, they tend to reduce costs and expenses as much as possible to boost profits also. So that's the main reason why businesses are there. It's to boost or to maximize profits. So again, that's the two major concerns of businesses in the past. Maximize the sales prices and reduce costs and expenses. However, the modern business philosophy has become more complex due to the three significant factors based on my readings and based on my experiences. So, number one factor is the increased competition. So, the example effect of this to the basic or old model of business that we have talked about earlier, which is again, maximize the sales price and then reduce the cost and expenses to boost profits, is that the presence of competition restricts the businesses and businessmen from raising prices. And increased competition forces them to offer competitive prices in order to attract customers, of course, and of course to defeat the other competitors. Number two factor is the demand for quality by the consumers and government regulatory bodies. So, consumers are now very knowledgeable on what they want or the qualities that they want for the product or services that they wanted to buy and they wanted to consume. And also, they already have an idea on what should be the characteristics of the products that they bought based on the money that they are paying. And aside from the consumers, of course, there are government regulatory agencies that checks the quality of the services and the products of businesses before it can be sold to the general public. So that is done in order to protect the buying consumers from fake products or dangerous products or substandard products. So the point here is that quality is already expected from businesses and it will affect the businesses in major ways. Like for example, the reduction of cost cannot be done already if it sacrifices the quality of products. So, we have number three factor, which is the increased expectations and participation of the public and other stakeholders. Now, reputation of a business nowadays can easily be destroyed with smartphones and laptops. So the reputation should be protected at all costs because even if the company is profitable, even if the company or the business follows all the regulatory requirements, and even if the company produces very high quality products, a single controversy related to the company can bring the company to the ground. So that's the number three factor. And because of these three factors and the other factors that are not mentioned here, like for example, the status of the economy of a country and other factors, running a business is now very much complicated. So that's the nature of the business. It's basically maximizing profits, but you need to consider a lot of things. Okay? Now, before we go to the moral reasoning, I know that some of us might think that doing business and morality are two different things or two different concepts, which is why the term business ethics has been considered an oxymoron. Because when we say business, that's for profit. And when we say ethics, that deals with anything other than profit making. Very contradictory, right? Yet somehow, my goal is to somehow connect them. These two seemingly divergent terms, business and ethics. Now, let's talk about moral reasoning and ethics as a separate concept. Okay? Now, moral reasoning is just a critical analysis of events to determine what's right and what's wrong in order to help an individual decide on what to do and what not to do. And I have here several examples to illustrate this concept. Okay? Examples are number one, picking an option which benefits a lot of people or the majority of the people. So that is what do we call as consequentialism, where consequences are the focus in deciding what to do or not to do in a situation. So that's example number one. Now, example number two, picking an option regardless of consequences because it's the right one or it's the right thing to do. Like, never ever steal anything because whatever reason you may have, it's wrong. And even if you are to donate all the stolen goods or stolen money or stolen things to those who need it is still wrong. So this is an example of deontology because deontological ethics focuses on moral duties, principles, and obligations rather than the consequences of actions. So it asserts that certain actions are inherently right and there are also certain actions that are inherently wrong regardless of their outcomes. So that's example number two. So the third and the last example is, for example, deciding on sticking to your principles, like sticking on moral excellence or excellence itself and integrity, and deciding on always upholding it in anything you do. So that's an example of virtue ethics. And unlike the consequentialism and deontology that I've talked about earlier, which focuses on specific events or actions, or individual actions or events, moral reasoning in virtue ethics revolves around cultivating good character rather than specific actions. Okay? So that's moral reasoning and ethics. Now, the question is, can it be applied in businesses? Of course, yes. Let's talk about business ethics. Okay? So, business ethics is actually a form of applied ethics that examines moral rules, theories, and principles in a business context. Okay? Now, it is a normative discipline whereby particular ethical standards are advocated and then applied. So, it makes specific judgments about what is right or wrong, as it teaches what ought to be done or not to be done. And that is according to the George in 1999. In short, business ethics is just the application of this moral reasoning that I have presented earlier and its approaches here. Okay? And actually, in simple terms, business ethics is just asking the managers or the decision makers of business entities questions before making their decisions like, is this true? Is it deceitful? Is it fair? Is it unjust? So, what are the consequences of these decisions? Does it cause harm to others and the nature? Is it good for the community where the business resides? Or is it good for the people inside the company or the people in the community which the business resides? Something like that. So, that's business ethics. Actually, business ethics and corporate social responsibility covers both the matters within the business and outside the business. So it is not only concerned with how to treat employees within the organization and how to uphold their rights or stopping of corporate crimes and other crimes within the organization like corruption, like fraud, problems in paying taxes or bribery, and the like. It also includes giving back to the community. Of course, inherently, even if the business does not intentionally give back to the community, businesses already contribute something. Like, for example, employment of people in the community. And the fact that the products and services given by business organizations are consumed or enjoyed by the people in the community. So, those are already benefits given by the businesses. Imagine, a private individual does not have to go to the forest to hunt animals for meat and to plant uh, to plant for food because food products are already available in the market. And you don't need to go on fishing to eat fish. So those are inherent benefits given by the businesses. Okay? Now, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the giving back, which is, for example, donation to not for profit organizations or organizing programs for a cause like tree planting and others, like making a building for the community that will be used by the people or will be used by the public. So that's corporate social responsibility and business ethics. So, at this point, I would like to end my presentation by summarizing everything. So, we have the nature of business. So, the nature of business is all about maximizing profits by maximizing the sales price and reducing costs as much as possible. But then again, there are a lot of considerations to be factored, like competition, like demand of quality by customers and other regulatory bodies, and maintenance of reputation and public trust. And also today, there is a growing demand from stakeholders for businesses to be morally and socially responsible also. That is why moral reasoning of what is right and what is wrong, what should be done and what should not be done in making business decisions is now a must. And also, decision makers should now consider what's right, what's true, what's fair, and what's more beneficial. So that's the nature of businesses today. And also, today also, the businesses are expected to contribute to the community by organizing programs, funding a project, and helping the community and the environment. So that's the summary of all the things that I've said earlier. And that's it for my presentation.